us today.
Hi everyone.
He's the founder himself as well as a strategy officer. So I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Esther. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us. Is anyone else coming or should we just start right ahead?
You can get started.
Yep, okay, cool. Right, so today I'm going to talk to you about targeting your customers using the different channels, okay? Now, how many of you are confident with your product? Okay, how many of you want to get $1 billion valuation? Okay, good. What about the rest that didn't raise your hands? Okay, right, okay. Now, today I'm going to share with you, right, the exact secrets that the unicorns used to actually grow and scale to millions of users, okay? Because that's what it's all about. It's how fast you grow, okay? Now, a lot of times you will think, like, what is your greatest, the greatest thing that's holding you back, okay? The greatest thing that's holding you back is not your product, it's not your resources, it's not your competitors. The greatest thing that's holding you back is time. Okay, it's your speed to market. That is the thing that is holding you back, right? So how do we get there and what do we do? Okay, so a little bit about me. I was born in Malaysia. I'm based out of Singapore right now, and I've done like 4 startups. Okay, the first 3 were successful. I've even got VC funding. The 4th one wiped out all the profits I ever made for the first 3. Okay, it was a terrible disaster. Okay, but in terms of these 4 startups, the things that I learned the most was from the last one where I made the failures. Okay, so failures teach you. So today I'm going to share with you exactly what I know about how you can grow and scale your business, and also more importantly, so that you don't make those same mistakes as me. Okay, right. So these are some of my clients right now that have benefited from my digital marketing, brand storytelling aspects, and I'm all about growth. So this is one case study of an example of a company that I helped to grow from 600,000 to 6 million in 24 months, right? So I'm passionate about growth, and I'm going to share with you some of that as well. Okay, so this is the fact right now, okay? This is where we are right now. So in a room full of 20, look around you, okay? 3 out of 4 are going to fail, okay? And this, I'm not telling this to depress you, but I'm telling this to impress upon you that you need to know what the 25% did to be successful, right? And that is absolutely critical, because this thing, and these are venture backed, okay? They are the smartest guys in the room, so to speak, okay? And they have failed. So how do you do that, and where do you take from there? So what is the number 1 reason? Okay, it is not product. Okay, it's not. So you have a lot of founders are obsessed about their product. You know, they're obsessed about how their product should work and how it should go from there and there and there. But it's not about product. It is about what? Customers, right? Distribution is another word for how you get to your customers, right? So imagine, right? It's like, say you're a guy and you want to go out to a club, okay? You are dressed perfectly, you're the most good-looking guy over there, okay? You go to the club, you spend 5 hours in the club, okay? You're the most good-looking guy, okay? And then you come home and someone asks you, like, how was it? And it's like, oh, no, nobody, you know, I couldn't meet any nice girls, right? And why was that? Because you were standing in the shadows, right? And winking in the dark at all the girls, right? And this is the problem. So today marketing is exactly that. You are winking at the girls in the dark, okay? So the girls don't even know you exist, okay? And they don't even know what you're doing, right? So the key here is that the channel, your distribution is completely critical to the success of your business. And we're going to go drill into that. How many of you have heard of this 80-20 rule? Okay, we've all heard about it. It started about 150 years ago by this guy called Vilfredo Pareto. Okay, he was growing tomatoes in his garden. Okay, and he found that 20% of his tomato plants, okay, were giving him 80% of the tomatoes. Okay, and he started to say, "My God, this is a great ratio. Can I just extend it further?" Because he was an economist as well, and he started to study the richest people in Italy, and he found that really 20% of the people owned 80% of the wealth. And then he did that studies again in England, and he found it was exactly the same, right? Now today this number doesn't correlate exactly, okay? The number is closer to 90-10. Yeah, 90% of the wealth is owned by 10% of the population, and it's closer 90% of the wealth of golfers that golfers make is made by 10% of the golfers, right? Or sports people, 10% of sports people, and it's getting closer to 99-1. Okay, so if you look at the unicorns today, look at the startups today that have this billion-dollar valuations. Okay, it's 1% or less than 1%. Okay, so you want to think like, how can I get to that 1%? How can I be that? Okay, so we're gonna go into that. Now, based on this 80-20 principle, okay, this guy called Richard Koch, he is a very interesting guy. So he's like you and me, meaning that he was not born into money. He went to university. He got a job at Boston Consulting Group, and then he went to Booz Allen Hamilton, like a consultant. Okay, today he's a billionaire. Okay, he's a billionaire, USD billionaire. Why is that? Okay, he found out, he used the 80-20 principle. By the way, he wrote a book called 80-20. I recommend you read it. Okay, he used that same 80-20 principle to invest in startups. Okay, and he found that 20% of the startups, and that gave him the 80% of the revenue, and he just went with them. Okay, so he devised a theory, and the thing that I remember what he said, right, is this: we always talk about effort. So 20%, 80%, 20% of your effort goes to 80% of your results. Okay, but I want you to think a little bit more about what he says about decisions. Okay, so you are where you are today, okay, because of the decisions you took, okay? So 80% of where you are today is because of 20% of those decisions you made. So today I'm going to talk to you about decision making, right? And the decision to choose the right channel to go to market, okay? So if you can see, today the most successful startups, okay, they just went to one channel and they just milked it. Okay, one channel, maximum two, one channel. Okay, so the question I want to ask you, right, is that, do you guys already know the channel that is right for you? How many of you already know the channel that's right for you? Raise your hands. Okay, good. For those of you who know, good, this is going to be a validation exercise. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you the formula to actually find that out, okay? So here are some examples. I don't know whether you can see from the back. Is the font too big, too small?
It's fine.
Yeah, you can read it, yeah? Okay, so you'll see that these are some examples of channels. You've got SEO, right? You've got like Facebook, and you've got like sales, right? And people just went to these channels and they just grew to 1 million. Okay, to 1 million plus users just on these channels. I'm going to go a little bit more into HubSpot because I used to be a partner with HubSpot, and so I learned a little bit more about how HubSpot does it. HubSpot basically grew their, so they had a great product, right? The first day, how HubSpot started was that there were like 3 guys from Stanford. They were all engineers, and they came up with this marketing product, and they said, okay, we don't know anyone who wants to teach us how to sell. So they got this other guy who's chemical engineer, right? Chemical engineer, and they said, okay, so you be the marketing guy and you go out and you try to sell. So like there's 0 marketing people in that group, okay? And the first day he went out, he just went knocking on doors in New York. No, it was in Boston, right? He went knocking on doors, and he managed to get 20 sales, right? Knocking on doors, and then he said, wow, we're onto a winner, right? So that means, first of all, your product needs to be a must-have product, okay? It needs to be like an awesome, amazing, cannot live without product, okay? Once you have this product and it's set, then you can go into the next level, okay? But let me just show you an example of how HubSpot did it, okay? So they broke their entire growth strategy into 4 canvases, okay? So the first one is the market, and then of course their product, which was a SaaS product, and then the business model, how they would make the money, and the channel, okay? So basically, and then the relationships between these 4, right? So according to them, there were like 4 things that you needed. Today I'm just going to talk about this one thing, which is your product channel fit, okay? We don't have time to go into the detail, but basically what HubSpot did was, this is it, the same thing, but more expanded to HubSpot, right? And they found that they pretty much just had one channel, which is the SEO channel, okay? Their content marketing, right, was their big channel, and they had an inside sales team, okay? So that's pretty much what they did. And so to grow to 100 million US dollars, they decided they needed to make some changes. So they locked in the market and they made some changes, okay? The key here, right, is how they focused on particular things, okay? And that's what I wanted to tell you. Now HubSpot uses 4. I introduced the 5th one, which is the language market. So today we live in what I call the attention economy. Everybody has got no time. Everyone is so busy rushing around, okay? So if you want somebody to try your product, okay, you need to have the right language to entice them, okay? So you need to have the right language for that market, okay? And if you miss this, these things also don't work. So to be successful, you need these 5 things, okay? Right. So James Courier is the one who came up with the language market fit, okay? And he's part of the growth hacking team. You can learn a lot more about them at growthhacker.com, right? An example of language market fit was the iPod, okay? We all know the iPod, okay? Do you remember what was before the iPod? Anyone remember? Still remember? Right. What was it?
Walkman.
Yeah, Walkman, CD, right? And then they had MP3s, okay? So at that time, a CD player, you could have 12 songs, maybe 18, maximum 18 songs, okay, on a CD. And that was a lot of songs already, okay? And you couldn't fit it in your pocket because the CD is like too big, okay? So when Steve Jobs came, he did not talk about how many, what he calls it, speeds and feeds, okay? Steve Jobs did not talk about speeds or feeds, okay? How fast this thing is and whatever. Even though he had all of that, he just had one sentence. 1,000 songs in your pocket, okay? And that was a sticky message, very sticky, okay? So you need to think about your language market fit, right, for your channel, and how sticky it's going to be, okay? So let's drill down now into the channel product fit. So Sean Ellis, growthhackers.com, I highly recommend you to go. He's got a book called Hacking Growth, which highly recommend you to read as well. Okay, so the first thing I learned about channels, right, is that it's not static, okay? Channel is like us, they grow and they die, okay? So if you want to choose a channel right now, okay, make sure you're choosing a channel in growth phase. So like for a lot of people, choosing Facebook today is a very, very expensive option, okay? It's a very expensive option. So this is 2017, right? So what's the next big thing? Okay, the next big thing: driverless cars, Alexa. Okay, these are the new channels that are still in their infancy, still growing. Okay, and where there's a lot of opportunity where you can get involved. But I'm going to take this. How many of you are in a SaaS business, actually selling software service? Okay. How many of you are? I know someone in retail. How many of you are in like non-online, offline businesses? Offline. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's 2 there. Okay. So generally, you will find that whatever that I say applies to you as well, but you just need to take it as is. Okay. So the first thing you need to know is the channels. Choosing the channel is super critical because you don't want to choose a channel when it's already peaked, because then it's going to be expensive and the channel is going to shrink. Okay. Okay. So the other thing you need to know is that there are scalable channels and there are unscalable channels. Okay. And it's very important for you to choose a channel that's scalable, right? So what is what is unscalable? Okay. Any examples? Anyone? Unscalable.
I don't know, maybe a small radio channel.
Yeah, small channel. How about family and friends? That's an unscalable channel. Okay. Writing on a niche blog. Okay, that's unscalable. So, you know how I told you that the biggest brands, they grew to 100 million subscribers on one channel, right? And how you should do the same. You should not do the same because you're not $100 million brand yet. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to balance. Okay, you need to balance the unscalable stuff, the free stuff, the stuff that you can do immediately, which you're probably already doing now. Okay, but what I call the barbell method. Okay, anyone familiar with the barbell theory or the barbell method? Okay, so this is what is done in investment banking. Okay, so investment bankers, they do what is called the barbell method when they are trying to do investments. Okay, and so basically they look at these low risk investments, but there's one where they put a lot of energy on and they choose the moonshot, so to speak. Okay, it's the moonshot. So you should look typically and see whether you can have a similar thing. Okay, so what is unscalable? This is unscalable. So unscalable would be getting family and friends, right? College, right? Engaging. Sorry, are we good audio wise?
You can keep your timer up.
Yeah. Okay, it's getting a bit warm. So. Okay, you just. Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, right. So here we are, right? Unscalable, free stuff that you can do. I want to talk about, like I said, language market fit. Okay, and so which channels should you use, right? That's the burning question. Which channels should you use? For those of you who know your channels, like I saw 2 raise. So what's your channel?
The selling channel. We're selling on our official website and Alibaba, Taobao.
Okay, so it's online e-tailers.
E-commerce. And
E-commerce.
online,
Okay.
selling through retailers.
Right. And what about someone else here? Those of you who know your channels already? Yeah.
For my product, we're using YouTube right now.
Okay.
As the YouTube searches.
Okay. So you find in YouTube. Okay. Fine.
We're in B2B, so we started using LinkedIn,
Okay.
but still testing and validating.
Okay. That's good. Anyone else found any success in channels? Go to market? No. Okay. So I'm going to give you a simple 3-step method to find your best channel. Okay, and basically, number one, look at the total universe of channels and just cut out all the channels that don't work for you first. Okay, and zoom in on the ones that potentially you think could work. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, once you do that, then you prioritize those channels, and you prioritize those channels based on the system I'm going to give you. And then after that, once you found the channel that actually you like, and the one that's data driven and proven to work, then you go ahead and start optimizing that channel. Okay, so I'm going to take it step by step. So this next piece of advice comes from Atif Awan, who took basically LinkedIn from 100 million to 500 million, okay, users. And he basically says, when you want to identify your channels, okay, look at the way your customers or your potential users are actually behaving and what they want. Okay, so if they are looking for you on search engines to find the solution to their problems, okay, then you know these channels work. Okay, so like that. So I would say that not all channels work for everyone really well. So like, for example, are you familiar with the term LTV, lifetime value? Everyone here? Yeah? Okay, cool. So understanding, like when I started to look at LTV, I didn't realize that my LTV only works with best with paid acquisition, right? Because you could actually look at the numbers and where it makes sense, where just about when it's break even, that's when you stop pumping money into the ads, right? So I didn't understand those things. So this would have been very helpful for me at the early days, right? So number one, so zone in, okay, on the right, and eliminate the unsuitable ones. Okay. Now, what are the channel categories? So channel, what does channel mean anyway, right? What is a channel, right? So a channel is anything that connects you with the customer. That's what a channel is, right? It's you know, think if it's a TV station and there are like 100 channels there, and the TV station wants to connect with you who's watching that channel, right? And you and 10,000 other people watching that channel. So they will then run ads through that particular TV channel, okay, to get to you. So it's something like that, right? So there are only 3 main channels, okay? And so there's the paid channel where it's pay to play, right? And there's the organic one, and there's the viral or word of mouth channels, right? Which I will take you through. I think there is a little worksheet that I will be giving out shortly, okay? In a minute. Okay. So paid channels. How many people are actually using these paid channels right now? Anyone using paid? What do you use? YouTube ads?
We do YouTube influencer marketing.
Okay.
Affiliates, yeah.
Okay. Fine. So for a startup, right, paid channels are really very, very difficult to do because it costs a lot of money. Okay. These ones are way better, organic channels. Okay, so over here, there's one thing in particular which I want you to be very, very particular about. Okay, and it's this one. It's content marketing. Okay, it's a massive opportunity with content marketing, and I think we also the previous session that you had, right, talked about that content marketing. Okay. Now, these are the top 30 opportunities with content marketing today. Okay, the top 30 opportunities, right? And you'll see there are like Q&A sites, there are like there's video there, there's case studies, you know, a lot of things you already know. But the magic question is when to use them, right? When do you want to use these channels? It depends on the buyer journey. How many of you have tracked your buyer journey already? How many of you have tracked your buyer journey? How many of you have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay, right. Okay. So the buyer journey, very simply, okay, and this is part of storytelling, okay? So basically there are three types of stories, okay? There's a story you tell yourself, okay? So when you wake up in the morning and you go and look in the mirror and you're crusty-eyed and you look horrible, that's the real you, okay? That's who you are, okay? And then after that, next morning, then after that, you have a shower, you do your hair up and whatever, or don't do your hair up in this case, okay? And then you go out, and that's basically the stories, the image you try to tell others, okay? So the story you tell yourself, okay? And that story is also a big thing, because if you can change that story you tell yourself, oh, I'm horrible, or oh, I look bad, or I look good, or whatever, right? If you can change that story you tell yourself, you can change your life, okay? And people like Anthony Robbins and all these motivational speakers, they help you to change that inner story, okay? But we're not going to get into that now. What I just want to tell you, so the stories we tell ourselves, stories we tell others, and stories that others then tell about us, which is our reputation, okay? Behind, when we leave the room, what people talk about us behind our back, okay? Now, there's always a gap between this and this, okay? There's a gap between how you see yourself and how you want other people to see you, okay? And this is where there's a huge opportunity for brands, for businesses, for marketers to actually get involved. So, say for example, this is what is called, in storytelling, is called the hero's journey, okay? Which we won't get into now because we don't have time. But basically, the buyer journey consists of 5 parts, okay? A, B, C, D, E, okay? They are aware of a problem, okay? They browse for a solution. They consider all the competitors or all the alternatives. It may be competitors, it may not be. They make the decision, and then they experience the product, okay? So pretty much A, B, C, D, E, okay? Now, if you're doing high-touch product, like selling insurance, okay? Yes, this works. If you're selling toothpaste or candy, for that matter, right? Okay? It's shortened, but really this is still the journey, okay? The journey is a roller coaster, okay? So your A, B, C, D, E, okay, is actually, imagine it like a pipe, okay? And you've got 3 key things here. So number 1 is the urgency, which is the drive of the customer looking for your product or the solution to your problem, okay? So that's important. The force at which you are working as well, okay? So if you, and then there's a friction within the journey, within the system, okay? So if you can recognize and remove the points of friction, okay? Increase the force and the urgency. If you can, and you use the right language, you can increase that urgency as well. So your objective is to increase this and reduce this. So to answer your question very quickly, so the buyer journey, at different stages of the buyer journey, they need different content because they're using, at different stages, they need different content. So at certain stages, you may use an ebook. At certain stages, you may use a comparison chart. At certain stages, you may only have to use testimonials and testimonial sites and stuff like that, right? So you have to understand on the buyer journey what sort of content to use. But content marketing is very, very important, okay? So we covered organic channels, of which content marketing is a part of. And now we're going to the word of mouth or the viral channels, okay? So viral channels, there are a whole bunch here. So the idea of this session today is not for you to come up with the channels immediately, okay? But it's to open your mind to say like, oh, okay, this is the universe of channels out there, and this is what's relevant to me, and let me understand from the buyer journey perspective, what are the channels, right? And so it's just to give you, it's just like a menu, so to speak, right, for you to choose. So step 1, what was step 1?
Discover.
Yes, discover what? Okay, discover the channels, correct. Discover the channels, right? So step one was to discover the channels and really by elimination, yeah? To cut away the channels that you definitely know don't work for you, right? Number two is to prioritize, and that's what this sheet in front of you is about, okay? Now we want to narrow down. So I want you to start thinking about the channels in your business that are relevant to you, okay? And we're going to narrow them down based on these 6 things. And this comes from Brian Balfour from HubSpot as well, okay? So right now, deciding on your channel is going to be a data-driven decision, okay? So you need to be able to say, I choose this channel because this channel has proven itself to work for me, okay? It's not an opinion anymore. So the opinion was step 1, okay? Step 2 is all data now, right? So, and it will depend on these 6 things, okay, which we will cover. And the first one is cost, okay? How much money do you have? Like some of them are just too expensive to run. For example, like a Super Bowl ad, right? TV is just out of the game. You just cannot use that, right? So how much you need to experiment. So you can narrow down like that, okay, on cost. On targeting, okay, so like some particular channels are very, very good at really targeting. So say for example, Facebook. You can use Facebook very, very well to target right down the demographic, okay? TV, not so much, right? Radio, even less, right? So how much control do you have over the experiment? So control is very important. So in terms of how are you able to actually stop the experiment at will, stop the experiment, change some things, okay? So for example, if you're running a Google ad, it's easy. You can immediately, when you see that the ad's not performing well, you can quickly change it, okay? Not so easy when you're running a radio ad, which you have put placements for the radio for the next 6 months, okay? And you cannot change that so much. If it's not working, you can't change that because the radio station doesn't allow you to change that. Or same with media, right? Or newspapers. It's not easy to do. So control is also very important for you. Input time. So to get started, right? To get the whole thing started, how much time do you need? Okay. For some people, it's very fast. Like you can do a Facebook ad very quickly. But SEO, as you've learned in the previous session, takes a long time. It takes 6 months before Google starts to actually see anything, right? So what is your input time? Okay, sorry, the example about Facebook versus Google was not a good one. I'll cover that later. But input time, how much does it take to set up the ad? Okay. Output time, how much time does it get to see the results? So this is where that example with Facebook versus Google works, okay? So whereby you can see SEO takes a longer time than a paid ad, okay? So that's key. And then scale. So like how scalable is that channel, okay? And basically, I would like you now to write down at least 3 channels, okay? That you 3 of your favorite channels, so to speak, right? That you think will work for you.
Did you put the 3, maybe had 3 slides, I took a picture of the one that's okay for picture.
Okay.
I've got that one, that's the one I've got. I haven't got the, do you know you both need paid? Yeah.
Paid?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That one, and then the other ones, and then I can just look at one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's just for this.
And then there's also this one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So find out what are your top 3. If you have a difficulty thinking of a channel, just raise your hands, I'll come to you. Well, just assume if you are using it, it's even better. Definitely put it down because you've obviously been thinking about it and you've done some homework, right? Because now we just want to narrow down to see, based on those 6 criteria, whether it's effective or not. You can do 3, you can do 10. Okay, the key here is that you need to be satisfied, right? If something that's been in your mind, you know, and it's like it's 5 of them, and I ask you for 3, but you know you want 5, just go with 5. The key here is that you are now doing a very systematic exercise of identifying and prioritizing your channels based on a data-driven exercise, right? So each of these will need at least one experiment, right? So after this, when you're done, you will go out and you will do an experiment on each of those channels, right? So how do you'll have to do at least one campaign or one experiment, right? You have to find a way to do it, because at the end of the day, you need the numbers to prove it, right? This is not a guesswork. So let me just explain. So while you're doing that, I'll just explain this works, right? So you can see here SEM, which is advertising on the search engines, marketing and advertising in search engines, versus email, right? Now, this is an example for a very large company with already an established email database, okay? So for them, for that company, they came up with it worked out better for them to go with email, okay, as their channel, okay, because of that large accessibility. But again, like I said, what is key here is for you to understand the growth cycle of the channel, okay? You need to understand where that growth cycle is. So certain things like, I don't know, for some businesses, it wouldn't work, okay? Either of these wouldn't work. So you've got to see for your particular situation.
Could you just go through all the points again?
Yep.
Like how we determine the points.
Okay. So the cost, if the cost is low,
Yeah.
okay, it gets a high score.
Yeah.
Okay, that means it's easy to do,
Yeah.
right?
Can I ask you one question? Is
Yeah.
cost related to just money or also time to allocate for building that channel?
Well, is that input time the time that's allocated?
Yeah,
Okay, input time.
I understood. Yeah, my understanding is that this is just money, right? Like dollars and cents that you actually put out, right? And if it's cheap to do, it gets a high score. If it's expensive, it gets a low score, right?
But actually, if it's not your time, if you're actually using your developer to set this as experiment, actually developer time is kind of the cost. So it could be potentially.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good fair point. So
if we want to build like a referral program in the product itself, there's a lot of
That is definitely a good time and cost. I would say that it lowers both of them, kind of.
yeah.
So then, what the next one then? So
okay, so the next one is control. How much
what's targeting?
Oh, sorry. So targeting is like, can you really get to your target customer well with this channel? So say, for example, if I were to use the example of TV, it's not so targeted, to be honest, right? It's not so targeted compared to Facebook, right? So how targeted is it?
The accuracy, basically.
Yeah, how accurate. It doesn't mean that TV is a bad channel. it may have a very low score on targeting, but on other things it may have a higher score, and it'll still be your channel of choice, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the results that matter, right? So the third one is control. How much control do you have over that channel, right? So for example, if I have an internal sales team, my in-house sales team, I have absolutely amazing control over that team, because they will listen to me. But if my channel is actually a distributor, so say for example, if I was, I used to run a business that was also dealing with retail, and I had a retail partner, and the retail partner was really a very, very large company which had very strict rules about way they would do certain things, and there were so many limitations for that channel. I was making money from that channel for sure, no doubt. Yeah, I was making money from that channel, but it was so difficult to control them because they were a very large company and they owned all the supermarkets and whatever that they pushed the product through, right? So, and then there's input time. So input time, say for example, a Facebook ad versus making a TV commercial. Okay, TV commercial takes so long to do. Right? So to reiterate these experiments is going to take you have to do, I can probably only do like 6 in a year, whereas Facebook ads, I can do 6 in a week. Okay, that is the difference. Okay, so your input time, because you're going to be able to be quickly doing iterations after iterations after iterations. Okay, so you want to look at that as well.
So is that a high score if you don't?
Yeah, so if your input time is short, it's a high score.
It's short.
Yeah. If your input time is short, it's a high score. If it's a long input time, then the score is low.
There's a lot of different frameworks actually around this subject. One of my favorite is there is one from Netherlands, a company called Growth Tribe.
Yes.
They have this GRASS framework. This is also pretty cool. But
Yeah, it is amazing. I follow Growth Tribe. They're so good.
very good content.
So good. Amazing. Amazing guys. I think they are like the forefront today. Honestly, I look at their content and
On content creation, definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
I look at their content.
What?
What they called?
Growth Tribe.
Growth Tribe.
Yeah.
But they're more like they're teaching you how to.
Yeah, they've got these classes in the Netherlands and also I think in other countries too now.
Yeah, now they're in London and
Yeah.
in Paris also, but
Yeah.
it's pretty expensive. For
Yeah.
a 1.5 day course, they charge almost 2K.
Yeah, so their target market is not people like you, unfortunately. Their target market is the very large companies who want to be like startups, right? Who have these little startup teams inside. So that's their niche market. That's where they're making the most of their money. Okay, anyway, so coming back, so output time, how quickly can you find out the result? Okay, so if you're doing SEO, it takes a long time. Okay, if you're doing SEM, it's really fast. Okay,
So the quicker it is, the higher the...
yes, the quicker it is, the higher the score. And then finally, it's scalability, right? Like how scalable is this channel? Can you reach millions of users with this channel? So if I have an internal sales team with 5 people right now, how scalable is that? Right? And if it is okay, good. But like, then how am I going to score that? Right? But like email, in this case, email gets an 8 because you can send one email to 10 million people, technically, right? Without getting to the spam filters. Okay. So has anyone finished already? Can we see who's got who's got your score? What's your score? You did
start
3.
with the offline,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay. So you've got 6.5. For offline. So that will be your first. That will be your first. That will be your first choice then.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about the other numbers?
The other numbers is very low, so low as in below 3.
Ah, I see. I see.
Average is just like below 5.
Okay. Okay. So now what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about an experiment that you can do offline. That's what you need to do now. Think about an experiment. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else ready to gosh.
Execute.
Actually, anyone else found something magical? Did they any epiphanies?
Well, I did it again, and it's again YouTube is better than other channels for me.
Okay, so you got 833. Okay, good. So do you know what experiment you're going to run on YouTube to validate that?
I kind of did only the experiments actually. I kind of did it one more time just to prove.
Okay, understood. Okay.
But this is what you do, right? As soon as you find a channel, then in this channel, what kind of experiments? Can
Yes,
you
that's right. So the 80-20 rule applies again,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Sorry.
We're supposed to find out these numbers after we do the campaign, because I mean right now I'm just kind of guessing, like I really don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You're guessing right now, which is fair, but you're guessing based on your previous experience of in that space, right?
Yeah.
So say for example, if you wanted to, so you know, like you've got social networks here, right? Instagram, online, video, crowdfunding, email. Okay, and so how quick is it to do crowd?
Let's see. Like I already, yeah.
How much time do you need to come up with a campaign?
6 months at least.
Yeah. So on a score of 1 to 10, is that easy or hard? Or it's quite hard, right? So you got a low. That'll be a low number. Yeah. So like that. So once you've got all of this, you come up with your average, and then you'll be surprised to see maybe something will jump out. Anyone else? Anyone else? Found anything interesting? Okay, we're about to end shortly, but I guess you have the idea. It's already 2:30. I'm going to end shortly, but anyway, let's go to the next one.